Hey guys, it's Sinem, or welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I'm going to be testing out the brand new Makeup Forever HD Skin Foundation. I'm going to be putting the new version to the test, seeing how I like it, if it's better than the original one that I absolutely love, or if it's worse, or if it's about the same. So you guys will see that in today's video. So I'm going to go in depth with it, you know, the shade, how it goes on, all of that good stuff. If you guys are interested to see how it is, then please keep on watching. I'm so excited to be testing this out today because this is the brand new Makeup Forever HD Skin Foundation. If you guys have been here with me for a while, you guys would know that one of my holy grail foundations is the Makeup Forever HD Ultra HD foundation, which actually is now discontinued and they've reformulated it to the new version. So I do have the old version with me, and I actually have the exact same shade. So this is the Makeup Forever HD Skin is what they call it now, and they've changed the packaging, the formula, which I'm like super scared if this is not gonna be. See, I can already see this shade is completely different. I must say I do really like the packaging. I absolutely love that the colors of the lids actually match the shade. And you can see it right there, really, really nice. So yeah, it's just really simple. It's a glass bottle, whereas the other one was plastic. So the shade I do have it in is 1Y04, and underneath it actually says Y215, which if I show you the old one that I have, the shade I have is Y215. So apparently this is the same shade. So if you used to use that shade, it's now this one. Okay. Oh, that's very, very yellow and dark. Very yellow. Yeah, there's a difference, a huge difference already. The shades are completely different. That is the most annoying thing. Why would you advertise that as being the same shade or similar shade? They are completely different shades. I knew I was going to struggle with the shade range. I just felt the shade range had a better undertone with the old formula. Yeah, you can see right there, completely different. This is a lot more neutral, still yellow, but a lot lighter. It blends into my skin a lot better, you can see. And then this is almost looking quite warm. It's still a yellow undertone, but it's very, very warm yellow. This foundation does retail for $43 in the US and £35 here in the UK. And the shade I have, 1Y04, which is also known as Y215, is described as a warm alabaster shade for fair skin tones with a yellow undertone. At the moment, I would say this is for light skin tones with a yellow undertone. I wouldn't really say fair. This foundation does have 40 shades, which is incredible, and it does claim it's for all skin types as well. So let's go into this side first. I'm just going to do one pump. This looks very, oh my god, it's very dark for me. The formula is feeling similar to the old one, which I'm liking. So let's go ahead, buff this out. Oh, so this gives like the typical medium coverage, just like the old formula did. It's not a full coverage foundation, although you can build it. And yeah, it's very blendable, very, very creamy. It's not a super thick foundation, but it's also not super runny. It's just like the perfect in between, and it just glides on your skin. I do have dry skin as well, for those of you who are new here. And it's definitely blending really nicely. It looks really good on the skin, very smoothing, and it has evenly covered over any redness or hyperpigmentation that I had. Now, I will say, of course, I'm not happy with the shade because it definitely does look a lot darker. It's not super dark, but it's just not the shade that I am used to, which was like a really great shade for me. And so I don't like that they've advertised it as being the same shade, because it's not. But I do love the finish. The only thing I'm not liking, first impressions, is that it's drying to a matte finish. And the reason I absolutely love the original one is because it was more of like a satin finish, where it wasn't so matte, but it wasn't so dewy either. It just looks so beautiful on the skin. And this has completely, already I'm touching my skin, dried down. It almost kind of drying down to like a soft matte finish. And it's looking very matte on my skin. I'm not seeing it like shine, maybe just slightly, but that's also the light bouncing off from the studio lights. So in this area, it's very matte looking in the mirror, and I'm just not really liking that because it's just not the Makeup Forever foundation that I'm used to. I'm not a fan of matte foundations because I do have dry skin. However, that being said, it is sitting nicely on top of my dry skin and it's not accentuating anything. It's not looking dry. It's not looking flaky or anything like that. So I do like that for the days if I do want to go for a matte finish. I can definitely opt for this because I know it's not going to interfere with my dry skin. It's actually sitting nicely on top of it. It feels very lightweight on the skin. It doesn't really feel like I'm wearing anything, but overall I'm just not impressed at the moment with the shade, and also with it being a lot more matte than the OG Makeup Forever HD foundation. I wish they just kept it a satin, because that way you give the customers a chance to, you know, either keep it satin and have a little bit of dewiness, or they can just set it with a tiny bit of powder to make it matte. And not everyone loves a matte finish, so it's always safe to go for a satin finish. I don't know. So I'm just going to apply a little bit more and kind of build it up. It almost goes on looking dewy, but it does then settle. It definitely feels comfortable on the skin. It looks still like skin. It doesn't look like I've just put on like a heavy layer of foundation. Even if you do build this, you can definitely build up the coverage. It's still giving like a full medium. It's not super full coverage, but it's giving definitely more of a fuller medium coverage. And I do feel like you can just build this and build this, but as I'm blending it, it's feeling more and more set and more matte, which I'm not loving. So let's go in with a sponge now and see. I'm assuming this is going to give me sheerer coverage, because every time I use a sponge it does obviously shear down the coverage. The skin overall looks very even and soft and smooth looking and just great overall. I definitely feel like I've got an even base to work with that doesn't look so heavy, that doesn't feel heavy, and overall just makes my complexion look really nice. Now you can already tell the difference with the sponge. This is what it looks like. It looks a lot more natural looking compared to this side where I do have 2 layers with a brush. It's looking a lot more fuller in coverage, and you can just see the difference overall. I am going to go in, of course, with a second layer just to even it out as well with a sponge and see what that's going to do. And I'm going to focus mainly on this area where I do have some blemishes and redness. Yeah, it's not really covering too much with a sponge. It definitely does cover more with a brush. I'm liking how it is a little bit more with the sponge application, but not so much the coverage. As you can see, still is matte, still has dried down to a matte. I'm going to lighten it up now with a little bit of concealer. This is the Cover FX Power Play Concealer in N Fair 2. And you can see it's a lot brighter. So I'm just going to be applying this, see if I can do anything about this shade. This is also great to tell if a foundation is going to work nicely with other products. And I'm also now going into the RCMA powder. This is a no color translucent powder, and I'm just going to be setting those areas with the powder. So this is what my skin looks like now with just a little bit of concealer and powder. It's definitely looking really nice. I feel like with the concealer and powder, it's definitely looking a little brighter and just kind of taking away with how the shade doesn't really match me. I will be adding blush and bronzer now as well. I didn't want to set my face with powder because I did want to see towards the end of the video how it does settle. At the moment, it's pretty much like a soft matte. There's a tiny bit of stickiness, but overall it is a pretty matte foundation. You can see like my skin is just not glowing. It doesn't look dewy or satin or anything like that. It's pretty much matte even before I added the concealer and powder right here. This is just a close-up of how it looks before I do the rest of my makeup. Let me know what you guys think and which side you prefer. Now for my final thoughts, I think you guys already know, like, I'm more leaning towards a no with this foundation. I am 50-50 on it, but I would lean more towards maybe not loving it, which is just, it just breaks my heart because that means I'm never going to have a Makeup Forever foundation like I used to that I absolutely loved and used all the time. It's a very matte finish. It's very, very matte, and the shade range is off. The undertones are off because even in store when I was swatching them, they just weren't they just weren't right. I don't know. They really messed up the shades. They should have just at least reformulated but kept the same shade range, you know, and the same undertones. But yeah, this is just not the shade. I think what you would have to do is either go a shade lighter or just make sure you try and get a swatch in store and try it out before you do purchase it, because the shade range is a little off. But the one thing I do love about it is how it feels on the skin. It feels nice. It went on really nice. It's blendable. It's creamy. It doesn't feel heavy. Doesn't look heavy. Overall, my skin just looks great. It's like just a regular nice foundation. It's not something that I'm going crazy over, and I feel like you guys have to go and run out and buy. One that I think you should go out and buy is the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation. That one's amazing. But again, if you love a matte finish and something that's going to be breathable and comfortable, this is going to be your go-to, especially if you have oily skin. I think for those of you who have dry skin like me and don't really love a matte finish, then I'd probably stay away from this foundation. I'm still going to be using it anyway because not every day I like a dewy finish. So it's great for me to have an option, you know, to have a matte finish. And it's still a nice formula. I hope you guys did find it helpful for you to kind of determine whether you think this is something that you're going to buy as well. Leave me all your thoughts down below if you have already tried this foundation out, and if you've tried both of the formulas out before and what you guys think of them. And yeah, I hope you guys found it helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up, comment down below. Hope you are staying safe, and until next time, I'll speak to you guys all in my next video.